In this video tutorial, you will edit several digital images using Photoshop and Adobe Camera Raw. I have opened Photoshop and I'm going to go to the File menu and I'm going to choose Browse and Bridge. I already have my Lessons folder, Lesson 12, available, and I'm going to go ahead and select the Mission folder. I'm going to select all three files by holding down my Shift key to select all three of them. I'm going to right-click and I'm going to say Open in Camera Raw. I'm going to select the letter F on my keyboard to toggle to full screen. The Camera Raw dialog box displays a large preview of the first image and a film strip on the left-hand side. Your film strip may be located at the bottom. To change the orientation of the film strip, right-click on the film strip icon and choose the film strip orientation to vertical. Now the film strip will appear on the left side. The histogram in the upper right corner shows the tonal range of the selected image. The workflow options link below the preview window displays the selected image's color space, bit depth, size, and resolution. The toolbar along the side of the panels box lets you crop and rotate and make other adjustments to the image. The panels are no longer displayed in a tabbed layout, but now have a drop-down caret for each adjustment area. These adjustment areas give you more nuanced options for adjusting the image. You can correct the white balance, adjust the tone, sharpen the image, remove noise, adjust color, and make other changes. The Camera Raw options are generally organized for good results by simply using the panels from top to bottom and then making adjustments within each panel. It is okay for you to adjust the options in any order. You don't have to adjust every option. In the toolbar, you can also save settings as a preset so that you can apply them to other images. Let's explore the controls in Camera Raw as we edit the first image file. I have selected the Mission01.crw image. From the Profile menu, I'm going to choose Adobe Landscape. The default profile, Adobe Color, is a general-purpose profile. Adobe Landscape emphasizes colors in nature like trees and skies and works well for this image. The goal of Adobe Portrait is natural representation of a skin tone. Adobe Vivid adds punchy color contrast, and Adobe Monochrome provides a high-quality conversion to black and white. Adjusting the white point. You want to make sure that your Basics panel is displayed. An image's white balance reflects the color conditions under which it was captured. A digital camera records the white balance at the time of exposure. This is the value that initially appears in the Camera Raw dialog box image preview. White balance comprises two components. The first is temperature, which is measured in kelvins and determines the level of coolness or warmth of the image. That is, its cool blue-green tones or warm yellow-red tones. The second component is tint, which compensates for magenta or green color cast in the image. Depending on the settings you're using on your camera and the environment in which you're shooting, for example, with artificial light or a mixed light source, you may want to adjust the white balance for the image. If you plan to modify the white balance, make that the first thing that you do, as it will affect other edits that you will make. By default, As Shot is selected in the white balance menu. Camera Raw applies the white balance settings that were in your camera at the time of the exposure. Camera Raw includes several white balance presets, which you can use as a starting point to see different lighting effects. I'm going to go ahead and choose Cloudy from the white balance menu. Camera Raw adjusts the temperature and tint for a cloudy day. Sometimes a preset is an instant fix. In this case, though, there's still a blue cast to the image. You will adjust the white balance manually. I'm going to select the White Balance Eyedropper tool, which is next to the White Balance drop-down dialog box. To set an accurate white balance, select an object that should be white or gray. The spot where you click becomes a reference point for neutral white balance, and Camera Raw will shift the image colors accordingly. I'm going to click the white clouds in the image. The color balance of the image changes. I'm going to click a different area of the clouds. The color balance shifts again because that area of the clouds has a slightly different color value. To find the best color balance quickly and easily, we're going to click the white balance tool on an area that should be neutral. Clouds are not always a neutral color, depending on the time of the day. Clicking different areas changes the lighting without making any permanent changes to the file, so you can experiment freely. I'm going to click the white sign. I'm just going to zoom in here, Control plus, so that you can see this. Hold down the space bar to move around. I'm going to click the white area of the small sign in front of the church. This removes most of the color cast. Clicking a known neutral area, such as the sign in front of the church steps, applies white balance values that result in a neutral image with unwanted color cast removed. I'm going to zoom out here by selecting Control 0. You can experiment with the white balance sliders to apply a higher temperature value to make a scene appear shot closer to sunset or evoke a warmer mood. To see the changes that you've made, click the Preview Mode button at the bottom of the window and choose Before, After, Left, Right. If I right-click on that icon, you have the ability to choose other view options. Camera Raw displays the before image on the left and the after image on the right. To see only the after image, I can right-click this again and I can choose Single View from the Preview Mode menu. If you prefer, you can leave both views visible so you can see how the image changes as you continue to alter it. Making tonal adjustments in Camera Raw. The group of options in the middle of the basic panel affects the tonal distribution of the image. Except for contrast, moving a slider to the right lightens the affected areas of the image, and moving it to the left darkens those areas. Exposure sets the overall brightness of the image. The highlights and shadows options increase details in the highlights and the shadows respectively. The white option defines the white point or the lightest tone of the image. Conversely, the blacks option sets the black point or the darkest tone in the image. Dragging the contrast slider to the right moves darker and lighter tones away from the midtone. Dragging left moves those tones toward the midtone. For more nuanced contrast adjustments, you can use the clarity option, which adds depth to an image by increasing local contrast, especially around the midtones. The saturation option adjusts the intensity of all colors in the image equally. The vibrance option has a greater effect on undersaturated colors. You can use it to bring life to a background without oversaturating any skin tones in the image. And in the Basics panel, at the very top where it says Edit, I'm going to go ahead and click the Auto. Camera Raw changes several settings and the image is greatly improved. The Auto feature often produces a useful image because its corrections are based on advanced Adobe Sensei machine learning technology. This makes Auto a quick way to both reach a good starting point for edits, and if you like the results, then use the Auto button to study and learn from. However, in this exercise, we're going to return to the default settings and then adjust them ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Auto button again, and that will return the image back to the default settings. For the exposure, I'm going to type in 0.50. I'm going to tab. Contrast, I'm going to leave alone. I'm going to tab. For highlights, I'm going to do -20. I'm going to tab. For shadows, I'm going to type in 70. I'm going to tab. So I'm going to tab past whites. For blacks, I'm going to do -10. I'm going to tab. Not going to add anything for texture. I'm going to tab again and put clarity at 20. And for vibrance, I'm going to add 20 as well. These settings brighten the image, especially the dark shadow areas, and boost colors without oversaturating it. So once again, to be able to preview this, you can toggle through that, or you can right-click and you can do before and after. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the single view. I'm going to, in the left-hand corner, where it says select zoom level, I'm going to change this to 100%. I'm going to use the spacebar key to get the hand tool. And I'm going to pan the image to see the cross at the top of the mission tower. I'm going to go ahead and select the little caret and close the basic panel, and I'm going to go to the detail. So all that appears is sharpening, noise reduction, and color noise. You're going to go ahead and select the triangle to the right and collapse that to be able to open this panel fully. The sharpening amount option determines how much sharpening Camera Raw will apply. Typically, you'll want to exaggerate the amount of sharpening at first and then adjust it after you've set the other options. So we'll move the slider all the way to 100. And we'll move the radius to 0.09. And I'm just going to tab. And the detail slider will determine how much detail you'll see. Even when this slider is set to 0, Camera Raw performs some sharpening. Typically, you'll want to keep the detail relatively low. So we'll leave the detail slider at 25. The masking slider determines which part of the image Camera Raw sharpens. When the masking value is high, Camera Raw sharpens only those parts of the image that have strong edges. Masking helps avoid noise in areas that should look smooth, such as a face or the sky. I'm going to tab and I'll move the masking to 61. All 4 sliders in the sharpening section of the detail panel let you have a live preview of what the sharpening is affecting. Just press and hold the Option key on a Mac or the Alt key on a PC. So I'm on a Windows. If I hold down the Alt key and I select the little caret that's in the masking slider and I just hold down with my mouse, you can see I can also make adjustments to that so that you can see what that looks like. Your screen will turn grayscale, and the areas of the slider you're dragging will appear as edge areas in the preview area. This is particularly helpful in understanding the masking slider. As I drag the slider to the left, more of the screen turns white and more sharpening will be applied. As I drag to the right, only parts of the photo will receive sharpening. The further you drag to the right, only the most obvious edge will receive full sharpening. So I'll leave that at 61. So we're going to decrease the amount slider down to 70 for sharpening. Sharpening the image gives stronger definition to the details and edges. The masking slider lets you target the sharpening effect to edges and lines in the image so that artifacts don't appear in unfocused or solid areas. Synchronizing settings across images. All 3 of the church images were shot at the same time under the same lighting conditions. Now that we've made the first one look great, we can automatically apply the same settings to the other 2 images using the Synchronize command. I'm going to select the first image and hold down with my Shift key to select all 3 images. When I hover over any of the images, you'll see that I'm going to get some icons here. I'm going to select the one that's ... and I'm going to choose Sync Settings. The Synchronize dialog box appears listing all the settings that you can apply to the images. For this project, you can accept the default selections even though we didn't change all of these settings. I'm going to select OK. When you synchronize the settings across all the selected images, the thumbnails update to reflect the changes you've made. To preview the images, click each thumbnail in the film strip. So I'm going to do Control 0, which will be fit in screen. And you can also do a before and after so that you can see the changes that were made to the images. I'm going to once again select the first image and hold down my Shift key to select all 3 images. In the top right corner, I'm going to select Convert and Save Selected Images. The Save Options dialog box appears. I'm going to choose, for the destination, I'm going to choose Save in Same Location from the Destination menu. In the File Naming area, I'm going to leave the document name in the first box. For the format, I'm going to choose JPEG and set the quality level to high 8:9. In the color space area, I'm going to choose the sRGB IEC 61966-2.1 from the space menu. In the image size area, I'm going to select Resize to Fit, and I'm going to choose the long side from the Resize to Fit menu. I'm going to enter 800 pixels, and whether it's portrait or tall, so portrait, which is tall, or landscape, which is wide, the image will have the long side of 800 pixels. When you choose long side, the dimension of the short side will automatically be adjusted proportionately. I'm going to put 72 as my resolution. These settings will save your corrected image as a smaller, downsampled JPEG files. Your files will be named Mission 01 JPEG, Mission 02 JPEG, and Mission 03 JPEG. I'm going to go ahead and select Save. Your Camera Raw edits are saved in an XMP format, known as a sidecar. Sidecar files are stored in the same folder as the original file, and the same base name with an .xmp file name extension. When you move a raw image edited in the Adobe Camera Raw to another computer or storage medium, you must make sure to move its XMP file with it. Camera Raw doesn't save any changes to an original RAW file, because RAW files are intended to be read-only. I'm going to go ahead and now select the first Mission 01, and I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Shift key, and this will turn to Open Object. Also, notice there's a drop-down. You can also select the drop-down and do Open as Object if you forget to use the Shift key. So we're going to open this as an object. The Open Object button opens the image as a Smart Object layer in Photoshop. You can double-click the Smart Object thumbnail in the Layers panel to open Camera Raw and continue making adjustments, RAW-based adjustments at any time. If instead you have clicked Open Image, the image would open as a standard Photoshop layer and no more RAW format edits would be possible. In Photoshop, you can choose File Save As, and in the File Save As dialog box, choose Photoshop for the format. I'm not going to go ahead and do that because I'm not going to require that you submit these 3 files for this lesson.